I'm joined remotely via Zoom by Jim Oswald, the Director of Marketing and Communications for Meals on Wheels San Francisco. And Jim, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, George.
I'd like to start off with you sharing with the audience kind of what the average age group is that Meals on Wheels serves, and then also, beyond just meals that you provide to a lot of our senior citizens, what are all the other wraparound services that you provide?
Sure. Well, kind of just stepping back, Meals on Wheels here in San Francisco is celebrating 50 years of serving the community. So it's an incredible year, as we all can attest to in many ways, but it's 50 years of serving older adults and adults with disabilities living here in San Francisco County. Our average age ultimately for folks on our program is right around 65, but really 60 plus. We have clients who are 103 and everything in between. So the mission ultimately, while it's based in food, our goal is to help older adults living in San Francisco live independently and safely in their homes. And we do that certainly through providing nourishment through our home delivered meals, but also through wellness and safety checks. So when our drivers deliver a meal to an older San Franciscan, they also get their eyes on that individual and chat with them, and they can kind of see firsthand what may be happening, or maybe if the person's struggling a little bit. So we offer social work services where our social workers, every Meals on Wheels client is actually partnered or paired with one of our social workers, and we really kind of dig in to see what we can do to help them live safely in their homes, whether it be a home or an apartment that they're renting, or even a single residency occupancy room. So that is basically the core mission of that. Ultimately, we're fortunate that we're able to provide these meals, some 2.2 million last year alone, to about 4,300 individuals living in San Francisco.
And then also part of what you do, Jim, is you work with the food bank to also provide the delivery to seniors, which is a super important component given that so many of the seniors now are completely sequestered because of COVID-19.
Yeah, we want to meet individuals where they are in the trajectory, right? So we do have many older adult clients who, they just need a little assistance. They can still get out, they have mobility, but maybe they need, and they can still cook for themselves, but maybe they need a little assistance getting groceries. So through our partnership with the San Francisco Marin Food Bank, we deliver right around 500 bags of groceries per week. It's a volunteer-run program right here at our Bayview headquarters. And this really helps those individuals, but also it's a way for us to develop a relationship with those individuals, because over time, as people age in place in their homes, they may need more advanced services such as our home delivered meals program.
And so, Jim, how has COVID-19 really impacted Meals on Wheels' ability to serve your seniors and operate? And of course, I'm imagining that the need has really also exploded.
Yeah. Well, COVID in itself has presented all kinds of challenges for everyone, right? For us, the biggest priority was safety. Safety of our staff, safety of our volunteers, and safety of our older adult clients. So, from the first week of March through, we went into emergency mode. So that meant enacting even more strict protocols that we already do. Kind of a little stepping back here, we're a safety net organization even prior to COVID-19. So for us, we're kind of set to handle emergency crisis. However, this was a huge crisis. So our goal was to make sure that our staff were healthy and safe. That meant certainly all of the protocols of sanitizing and PPE and really social distancing. We've had to multiply our kitchen areas across various buildings throughout the city just so that we could accommodate social distancing needs. We enacted no contact deliveries with our drivers. As I mentioned earlier, one of the keys to our program, besides delivering nourishment to our homebound clients, is actually getting eyes on them to see how they're doing and talking with them. Well, in pandemic world, it's kind of hard to do for their safety. Many of these clients have underlying medical conditions that make them really vulnerable to a disease like COVID-19. So no contact deliveries, talking with clients from a very far away, and even more importantly, enacting our social work division to actually make regular calls to individuals just to see how they're doing. So those are the big challenges. And of course, for us, we rely on the generosity of individuals for donations. And our biggest fundraiser of the year had to be postponed and actually canceled later on. That's a fundraiser that basically is responsible for about 52% of the funding for our meals. So it's a huge chunk. That's about $3 million. So, we've been really fortunate that the community has been so supportive of us, both philanthropically, but also in donating in-kind services, PPE, all of those things. But right now, we're looking for, continued generosity.
And to that point, Jim, how can people, wonderful picture behind you of your new kitchen that you're working on. Please talk a little bit about that. But how can, people who are viewing this or listening to this, help, whether it's volunteer, if they don't have, money to donate, but have time or resources, but how can people get engaged in supporting Meals on Wheels?
Yeah, well, as you see behind me, this is the brand new Meals on Wheels kitchen and food production facility. So no matter what was happening throughout the year, and there was a lot happening, right, that we all were living through, we continued our mission of making sure that not a single older adult client missed a meal during the pandemic. Matter of fact, our base increased by 246% of new clients requesting services from us. So it's been a very busy time, but throughout all of that, we were able to continue construction of our new facility, and it is ready to open in a matter of weeks. We expect by November to actually be producing the first meals out of this kitchen. Just to kind of put a little base to it, we pre-COVID would produce about 8,000 meals a day. During the pandemic, we had to increase that to about 10,000 plus meals a day, which was really putting a strain on the kitchen, our current facilities. The facility you see behind me will have the capacity for us to be able to produce 20,000 plus meals a day. So, and it's surely needed because at the end of the day, we're seeing an increase, certainly around the country, but particularly in San Francisco, of our older adult population. And the projections show that basically we'll need to produce 50 million meals within the next 2 decades. That's about 2.5 million meals a year. So the increase is there, the need is great, and we're just thrilled to be able to open this facility and provide services for another 50 years, hopefully, or longer.
So, Jim, in all of your work with the seniors in Meals on Wheels, could you share with the audience perhaps one of your favorite stories that you've gathered over the years?
Oh, there's just so many. I was just on the phone with one of our clients. She has the ability to do Zoom. So, Zoom is the new thing this year, it seems, right? For all of us. And she tells me, about having to go out really early in the morning to get her walk in as part of her physical therapy so that she could avoid crowds of people because she's afraid of potentially running into someone who might have tested positive for the disease. I have to say, our goal ultimately is to keep our clients safe, but I hear many stories from our drivers who have really developed relationships over the years with our clients. And one in particular was right around April, regular clients that our driver Jim went to, same name as me. He delivered some meals one day, and in front of the door, again, we're doing no contact deliveries, but in front of that door to that home was a little package for him addressed to him. He opened up the package and inside were 2 homemade face masks for him. And with a little note from the older adult, it's a couple that live together, so husband and wife who are on our program. And they just wanted to make sure, they thanked him for everything and for coming out during a really challenging time. And they wanted to make sure he was safe. And I just thought that these individuals, who have their own health issues. The one lady has arthritis, but yet she made these masks by hand. She was concerned about his well-being. So I think there are a lot of positive things that come out of a crisis, and certainly it's caring for one another is one of them.
Well, and to that kind of point, Jim, one of my final questions, and I've been asking everybody in the series, is, what do you see are some of the positives that can come out of the COVID-19 pandemic and its kind of virtual meltdown of all of our social services, and especially impacting, the elderly?
Yeah, the coronavirus does not discriminate, but yet in some ways it does. So we could see firsthand through our clients, many of whom live on less than $1,000 a month. A good portion of our clients are people of color. And those were the individuals that sometimes they don't have the resources to be able to protect themselves. So the pandemic really hit that community hard, and in San Francisco, particularly the Latinx community. So I say, some of the more positive things that come out of that is awareness, ultimately. And for many of us essential businesses and safety net organizations, we figured out how to pivot ultimately so that we can continue the mission. And I think that's really, really important. So we've learned a lot during this. And at the same time, we've grown. So it's been an incredible, and unfortunately, I think COVID-19 is going to be in our lexicon for another year easily. So we're doing everything now, planning, far out in advance to see how we best can serve our community. We're so grateful that this new kitchen is coming on board. Could not come any earlier. We wish it was already on board last year just because of the pandemic, but it's been incredible.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for sharing all of your work and Meals on Wheels work today. We'll make sure that all the viewers and listeners have your website and information on how to participate as far as volunteer, et cetera, for Meals on Wheels. And please stay safe out there, and give my best to the whole crew of volunteers that help make this work happen.
I will. And if I could add, because I probably didn't answer that one question, how folks can get involved. Well, we have two big events coming up. We have our October 11th fundraiser. It's a live virtual event. You can join online, and you can find that information out at mowsf.org. And on November 19th, we are doing a live virtual dedication and celebration of the new kitchen right behind me. So folks, we really invite them to come join us in this wonderful celebration. So those are some great things that you can do right from your living room.
Thank you, Jim. Stay safe out there, and appreciate all that you guys do to help our wonderful, population of folks who are still hanging in there, still hunkered down, and trying to make it, work every day.
Thank you, George, so much.